Since the beginning of time, conflict and natural disaster have forced people to flee their countries. Today, there are 21 million refugees and asylum seekers worldwide. In addition, over 20 million people are internally displaced from their homes. Refugee and displaced children are in special need of protection, as outlined in the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. This convention was ratified by all but 2 United Nations member states. This makes it the most widely ratified treaty in world history. This is the story of refugee children whose families have chosen to seek asylum in Denmark.
Everything was very confusing since we basically didn't know much about Denmark other than Danish cheese. That was what I have heard about Denmark before arriving to the country. And since we had to interact a lot with people, with authorities, it was very difficult for us at first to get used to talk with policemen, to get used to talk with people who actually had some power, some administrative power. So it was very insecure and confusing to actually get used to the new environment, get used to the new rules, to the new requirements to life, and to the right to your right as a human being. To expect for your life, which actually, I mean, the rights that I'm talking about are the rights that are suddenly provided for you, even though you're living in asylum seeker centers in Denmark. Those rights are not present in my country at the time I left it. So it took us a lot of time to actually get used to the new rhythm and the new rules of life, what I call it.
People who have been persecuted because of religion, because of political actions, because of sexuality or ethnicity. In certain conditions they have the right to have asylum in different countries. But in Denmark, as in Sweden and Norway and many other countries, we could see that there were big groups of refugees, asylum seekers, who in fact were persecuted, even not for those strict rules. So we put in another condition for receiving asylum called de facto refugees, that we could see that in fact you have been persecuted and it will be too dangerous for you to be sent back to those conditions. So because of this you will receive asylum. So those were the situation in Denmark for many, many years, as in other countries around us. And it functioned very well. But then we received groups of refugees who were refused to stay in Denmark and who denied to go back, and who came from countries who denied to receive them back. So for some years there were refugees in camps who couldn't go back and who couldn't receive asylum. And people in those years, we have a big unemployment rate in Denmark. So people become in a way hostile to those who stayed in the society and who were supported economically and who didn't work. And at the same time, they didn't want them to go and become employed, because then they would take the workplaces for other people who had been in Denmark for years. So it was a complex situation. And unfortunately, many of the big parties changed their attitudes towards asylum seekers. And then a new party called Dansk Folkeparti, the party of the Danish people, they call themselves. And they have in many ways colonized the Danish symbols, the Danish flag and lots of things, and pretend to speak on behalf of the Danish people everywhere. It's very, I think we were not aware of it in the beginning. So now they have become a big party of people who were unsatisfied about the condition very many members of this party are people who felt not taken care of the society. So they felt they were frustrated people who were not taken care of by the big parties. And they formed their own party, who as a simple had this war against refugees, against the people of other ethnic backgrounds in many ways. Even refugees who had asylum in Denmark, they have been fighting.
Article 2. Les États parties prennent toutes les mesures appropriées pour que l'enfant soit effectivement protégé contre toute forme de discrimination ou de sanctions motivées par la situation juridique, les activités, les opinions déclarées ou les convictions de ses parents, de ses représentants légaux ou des membres de sa famille.
In contradiction to Sweden and Norway and the people, countries we compare us to, where they take care of the situation, the real situation for refugees. So it's an awful situation just now in Denmark, and because of that we have very, very few refugees, and lots of them prefer to stay on such conditions as you have seen in Austrup. And that tells us some of them have been here for 7, 8, 9 years. It tells us that how dangerous it is to go back. Better stay under such condition, even when the ministry will give them money to have them to leave their country.